Hi, Christy.
Andy.
I don't know why it took a little bit to connect us today. I was just about to check in, but
Okay.
I left and restarted the classroom, and then you popped up. So I was like, if this doesn't work,
Oh,
I'm gonna text you, because I was like, maybe we're at a different link or something. So I did have
oh,
like
I
a
know.
computer update, so I was like, maybe it changed. I don't know.
It did try to get me to download something new, and I was like, no,
Oh,
just do
okay.
it from the web.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Like it likes you to have the app on your computer. Yeah.
Yes, which I do, but it wanted to update everything, and I was
Oh.
like, I'm
No,
good.
thanks.
Just
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
fine
It
for
was just
now.
being slow today, I guess. I don't know.
Yay.
Technology.
I know, right?
How are you today? Your voice
I'm
sounds
good. Thank you
good.
so much for changing things around for
Oh,
me.
no
I appreciate it.
problem. Yeah. I know sometimes, stuff happens.
Yes.
So,
It wasn't bad. It was just like we're trying to work on the school that I work for. We're trying to work
yeah.
on taxes, and it happened to be
Oh.
the only time that anybody could meet with me. So I was
Oh, oh no. You were like, excellent, wonderful,
super. Oh,
perfect.
so yes.
Aw, well, I'm glad we were able to get together today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so tell me, what would you say um, for for today? What do you feel like would be the most helpful things for you today, just kind of with where you're at with everything?
So over the past month, I've been kind of trying to revamp the whole Big Mama C thing, the radio show thing.
Okay, cool.
So, but I don't feel like I really need to work on that. I think that I kind of have a handle on that, but that's just what I've given all of my attention to as far as like trying to work on an avatar and trying to learn how to do that stuff so that I can not have to put together, an hour long thing of
Right.
pictures or whatever.
Sure.
So, um, I'm not as smart as I thought I was when it comes to
Oh,
this avatar stuff. I was like, if you want to be like a flying pig or something, they've got you covered. But if you want to look like yourself, it's a little hard.
oh. That's funny. Yeah,
Oh,
just
yeah.
like
So,
completely rebrand yourself as a cartoon.
yes, yes. I'll just have to be like a bear or something. I don't know.
That's funny.
So maybe since I haven't really done any auditions so much, maybe we
Sure.
could do a couple of those.
Yeah, absolutely, we
Yay.
can.
Okie
Um,
doke.
for sure. So then, so do you have one in particular that you maybe wanted to get started with? Like
I
in
saw
mind?
one on ACX that was
Okay.
kind of, I mean, it seemed like it's the same story, different day, but
Sure. Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's fine. Um, Let me see if I can find the little link for it. Um, there you go. How
Perfect.
have you been?
Pretty good. Can't
Good.
complain.
That's good. That is good.
Alrighty.
All right. Their little audition script is not like, I mean, it seems too long for me, but it's not super long.
Yeah.
Like, as audition scripts go, I've seen them send way longer, but
Right. But it still is like, come on, guys.
I feel like it could be like the last two paragraphs or something.
Sure. Yeah, that you're like, this seems excessive.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes they do that. Yeah, I feel like, a typical good length is due like 2 minutes. I feel
Yeah.
like the odds of them listening to more than a minute are unlikely. And then, more than 2 minutes is just like for anything that's not narration, 60 seconds is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Seriously.
if it's narration, I usually say about 2 minutes. But I know sometimes they'll list scripts that are like, this is like a 10-minute, 20-minute long script. And so I
Right.
do not do the whole thing.
No. I
So
mean,
yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah. So, okay. So I say let's just kind of practice it in chunks then and kind of see how much of it we want to do, like
Okay.
it's ending up timing wise, and do like a couple minutes of it. Um, because if it is a lot longer than that, it's like I feel
Yeah.
like they can always ask for more if they shortlist you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know why we need to have an extra person in the script.
Yeah. Like I feel like you could maybe let's try like the first half or the second
Yeah.
half, like ending it I'm good, he winked, like
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
So maybe we do that much of it for now. And then, if they're like, hey, I really love your voice, you're one of my top readers, but I'd love to hear just a little bit more, then I'm like, okay, it's worth my time. But when it's a really long script and I'm like, I am one of hundreds of people and you'll probably listen to 10 seconds and move on, you know?
Right? Oh my word. Especially when,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so let's try this first time, just kind of reading in your regular voice, just getting the patterns and the inflection and just kind of getting those words in your mouth. And then let's
Okay.
go from there.
Okay. A hand slid down my back as we listened to the speech from the headmistress. I swallowed slowly, keeping my look calm. I meant what I said last week about me and you. Frank, a friend of my father's, whispered in my ear. The room erupted in applause as the speech ended with a toast. I maintained my smile, clapping and looking supportive of the proposed new playground being installed at the local elementary school. Honestly, it was a waste of funding. The current one was perfectly fine, but I didn't have children yet, so my opinion didn't weigh as much as some of the other committee members. Being on the board for the school my unborn children would one day attend was as dry as hell, but it was what was expected of me. Frank chuckled at my indifference to his flirting. Only a few more weeks and you'll be married and having kids. Then it'll be you whispering in my ear. You're a disgrace, I laughed and looked and took the chance to step away from him, hoping no one had noticed his advances on me. Not that I was the only one he would have hit on that afternoon. I was certain he had worked the room at least twice already. The problem with being part of the committee was that I had to remain amiable and play along with flirting, or he wouldn't donate to the school. His kids had long since left, so he had no immediate reason to help out. I'm going to go get a drink. Do you want one? I asked him. I'm good. He winked. Okay.
Okay, good. All right, so they did give us a little bit of information about these characters, what they're like. And so when you're thinking about, the general genre and feel of this script, and then you're thinking about the two different characters, um, what are some of the things that you kind of think about that you're like, all right, I want to do XYZ with this?
Um, the girl sounds kind of just like she's probably rich. She probably,
Yeah, it
she's
does
working
say
on the
she's
school
like
board.
a debutante and like
Yes.
lives in New York, and so
Yeah. Yeah. So she's familiar with money. She's doing, it sounds like she's already like got her path and doing the things that she's supposed to be doing. Um, and that she knows how to play a room.
okay.
Um, and this guy is just creepy. He's just, a rich guy who's like, you want my money so I can do whatever I want to. That sort of, ugh, gross. So I'm guessing that you're really not supposed to like that guy. That you're already supposed to be like, ugh, he's so slimy. Um, and you kind of feel like in this moment, you just feel for her like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you have to put up with that garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so what do you feel like as a narrator we want to do based on this particular genre and what we feel like people would be kind of expecting to hear from a narrator in this genre?
Um, I feel like the female in this type of genre is always just sort of like a little bit quirky, a little bit sarcastic. Even when they are just being proper, they still have that, like, oh my gosh, this is what it's expected from me. Um, they just always have that kind of sarcasm or like inner monologue, where they kind of even sometimes bicker with themselves.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. All right. So, um, thinking about um, kind of the general mood throughout this excerpt, what would you say it is?
I would say that she probably is a little bit aloof because she doesn't really want to be dealing with all of this. And she thinks that she knows a better answer, but she also knows that she has to stay in her place in order to get what she wants.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. All right. So then, um, let's try reading through it again and let's just
Okay.
focus on kind of the overall sound for this genre.
Okay. A hand slid down my back as we listened to the speech from the headmistress. I swallowed slowly, keeping my look calm. I meant what I said last week about me and you. Frank, a friend of my father's, whispered in my ear. The room erupted in applause as the speech ended with a toast. I maintained my smile, clapping and looking supportive of the proposed new playground being installed at the local elementary school. Honestly, it was a waste of funding. The current one was perfectly fine, but I didn't have children yet, so my opinion didn't weigh as much as some of the other committee members. Being on the board for the school my unborn children would one day attend was dry as hell. But it was what was expected of me. Frank chuckled at my indifference to his flirting. Only a few more weeks and you'll be married and having kids. Then it'll be you whispering in my ear. You're a disgrace. I laughed and took the chance to step away from him, hoping no one had noticed his advances on me. Not that I was the only one he would have hit on that afternoon. I was certain he had worked the room at least twice already. The problem with being a part of the committee was that I had to remain amiable and play along with the flirting, or he wouldn't donate to the school. His kids had long since left, so he had no immediate reason to help out. I'm going to go get a drink. Do you want one? I asked him. Oh, I'm good. He winked.
Okay. All right. So, the narration, I think, definitely was better. What were some of the things that you felt like improved with that narration and even, some of the dialogue, just generally through, like, for instance, I thought the pausing was better this time,
Yeah.
the pacing and, like, the phrase shaping, where it was, like, smooth and connected and where we were having little lifts. That I thought worked really beautifully. We're starting to get a little more of kind of the attitude of the
Yeah.
characters. So, what were some of the things you noticed?
Um, yeah, I feel like there was a little bit more of a flow to it, which was a little nicer. It wasn't quite as choppy. I feel like it still could be more fluid. But that would just kind of be with, more time and reading. I feel like some of the sentences I get started on a certain emotion and then I'm like, oh crap, no, we're not going that way. We're going over this way. Um, So that's something I think I could work on better.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I would love to take a second and just really focus in on some of those dialogue lines.
Okay.
Um, do you feel like we could maybe just like zero in on some of the dialogue lines and kind of
Sure.
refine some of those and create just the kind of character voice that we want?
Sure.
Great.
Um, let's see. There's not a lot of her dialogue lines.
That's
So
okay.
okay.
So just kind of thinking of her personality and character, I'm curious, do you have any character inspirations that you want to pull from, or any ideas about like what this character would sound like? She is in New York, but she's more affluent, and so I would think she would have, gone to private schools and things. So she's going to have a little bit more of an elevated speech rather than like like growing up in Brooklyn kind of a sound.
Right, right.
So that would be one thing to kind of consider. Also, that kind of, if she's a debutante, that kind of tells us a little bit about um, her age and her outlook on life, that kind of thing too. So I know she doesn't have a ton of lines, but we
Right.
still can incorporate some of her personality and what we think she might sound
Sure.
like here.
Sure. I feel like she's probably sounds very bright. Um, very probably not super as warm as bright. Um, and I don't think I would go as far as to be like the mid-Atlantic kind of sound, but I definitely don't think that this is written with like that even like fancy New York sound. This is kind of a just flat American regular nowadays mid-Atlantic kind of sound. Um she's probably I mean, my first thought when I think of her is a little bit like Reese Witherspoon, but like not with a southern accent or anything like in her early days.
Yeah. 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 Um, I think also, they give us a few comments on the characters, and one thing that I always try to do is have more contrast with the characters. I
Hmm.
see this as kind of like an uptown girl kind of a thing where it's like, oh, she's, from this affluent family, probably went to private school. She's a debutante, her family is, has all these lofty expectations. And then the guy is a little more like, normal, and then he's like
Right.
more laid back and easygoing. Um, so if we think of um, like in the Notebook, you've got the main girl whose family is like really wealthy and they want her to, marry someone who's at their class level and things. And then, there's this guy she meets during the summer on their
Right.
vacation who's, you know, family doesn't have a lot and he works with his hands.
Right.
And he's very laid back and she's much more like high strung and energetic. Um, so that kind of a contrast, I think, can work really beautifully. So thinking about some of the contrast between the characters as well, I think can just be a really fun way to bring life to the script, and then also just kind of some of the things that they have told us. Um,
Right.
about the characters. So let's try a few of her lines and
Okay.
just kind of play with creating that voice. If you want to maybe try the same line a few different times, a few different ways, I think that'd be great.
Sure. Let's see where she is. So she says you're a disgrace. So I would say something like, you're a disgrace. Or, just that kind of like over the top because of her situation at that moment. Um, as opposed to more like, oh, you're a disgrace. I I think I like it better. Like, you're a disgrace.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, you definitely can approach it different ways. So it's
Right.
a choice, right? If you don't have someone actively there doing a live directed session with you, um, I think that um, you know, it makes sense to just kind of go with your gut. So yeah, you
Yeah.
can try a handful of different things, and then when you find one that you're like, I really like that, then hold on to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's keep that, and then
Okay.
let's try another line.
Okay. Um, I'm going to go get a drink. Do you want one? Let's see. Yeah. Or I'm going to go get a drink. Do you want one?
Yeah, like she could be more flirty. She could be a little irritable, like leave me alone. She could
Right.
be a little more like sassy. She could be a little bit condescending. Like it's all about the context that you know. With it being kind of like a rom com,
Yeah.
I like to think about like what are some of the sounds that they want to hear and some of the emotions they want to hear um,
Okay.
through the process.
Um,
So it might not be exactly the way I do it when I'm recording the book. It might be more to showcase different things that I can do.
okay. Okay. Um, let's see. If I go down a little bit farther, she has a little bit more um dialogue with, I guess, the person who is going to be I'm assuming is going to be the love interest, the waiter.
Yeah.
Um, so he asks her if she wants a white wine spritzer. And so oh God, no. I muttered, still searching. I had red, please.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like, why would I want
Why
that?
would you give me
Yeah.
this young woman an old lady drink?
Yes. Yeah.
Gosh.
Or, yeah, it's like you've probably been, summering in Paris and your parents have been teaching you about wine since you were 14,
Right?
So, yeah, it's like, do I seriously look like I would drink that? Yeah, so, yes.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, if you think of like, characters from other things that would have that same kind of attitude, if you think of like in Succession with like the daughter of the
Oh, yeah.
media mogul or something, like how she'd respond to like, why would I want
Ew,
that?
gross. No. Uh.
Or like a Paris Hilton, like, you know,
Ew, God, no.
ew, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Ugh.
exactly. So yeah, um, just thinking about, I think you can have a lot of contrast too. Like you can have moments where she's flirty and moments where a little bit of her entitlement shines through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. Let's see. So then she has this little conversation with him and he says that you look like a white wine girl. Um, that caught my attention and I turned back to him. Do I? What makes you think that? A hint of a smirk played on my lips.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Okay.
So clearly he's intrigued you in some way,
Yes.
and you're giving him the time of day. So yeah, it's like he's caught your attention, um, and so are you just genuinely curious? Are you a little bit perturbed that this guy thinks he knows you when you're like, Psh, you don't know anything about me. Like, why would you think that? What
Right.
tells you that about me? What you want to kind of bring across with that.
So I think in that moment, she is really trying to be like, oh, well, that's quite curious. And no one has ever told me things like that or been brazen enough to tell me those kinds of things. And that
Sure, like,
intrigues me.
really? Are you so bold? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like he has dared to make a judgment about you. And you're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Really, and what would you know about that? You know? Okay, nice. Yeah. Let's try that line again.
Okay. Do I? What makes you think that? A hint of a smirk played on my lips.
Nice. Yeah, good. Awesome. I think that's like a little bit playful, but also like she has a little hint of irritation to it,
Yeah.
but she's
Yeah.
also genuinely curious how he'll respond, you know.
Yes.
And I get the impression that if he's attractive enough, she's not above, flirting with the help.
Right.
Like I can appreciate the pool boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
On a funny note, my friend sent me when she moved to South Carolina, they got a house with a pool, and she sent me a picture of the man who takes care of their pool. And she was like, I know you're jealous of my pool boy. And it was like this middle-aged, overweight guy with his pants falling off. I was like,
That's
yep,
amazing.
that's me. Totally jealous.
That's fantastic.
So yeah. Ugh,
I'd be like, I am. I'm jealous of the pool and the
I'm
pool
jealous of the
boy.
pool. And you have somebody to take care of it. Good Lord. You'll have
That's
to do
amazing.
it. Yes.
Uh, yeah. So yeah. It's and this is a fantasy too. So like it's one of those fun, fantastical things, and people
Yes.
read it because they like living in this imaginary world for a while. Um,
Yes.
yeah. Um, so do you feel like we've kind of like established her character and what we want to do with her? Like you've kind of landed on what you feel like
Yeah.
works well for her? Okay, great.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and shift focus to the other character now and see what we want to do for him.
Okay. Do you mind if we stick with the second half? Because I think
Sure.
that's the character, the male character that's going to stick around as opposed to
Ah,
the
yeah,
guy at the top.
absolutely.
Okay. So
No, no
I
problem.
always when I've been trying to like if I practice a male voice, I just have been trying to keep it really like um not super low, but just kind of like right here.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big enough difference. I feel like obviously this guy is super flirty. He does not have any problems coming straight out of the gate and just being like, let me tell you, like he's like very confident and he doesn't care that he's a waiter and she's a fancy lady.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe he's
Yeah,
just a
that he's
full-time
very like, I'm
bartender.
comfortable being who I am.
Right, right. Um, and it looks like in this little part of the script that maybe he took it farther than you would with most people, but he's just like, "Oh, you're a little pretty. I can say these things about you." So, let's see. If I took him, I would probably be you look more of a white wine girl to me than a red. You look like or You look like more of a white wine girl to me than a red. More like that.
Yeah, yeah. So thinking about like what are the key words to emphasize changes
Yeah,
the
yeah,
flow and the intention of it. Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
good.
okay. And then let's see. He goes down and he's roaming her face. Okay. Um, so the reason she looks like this, his smirk turned wicked. Okay. Pink, full lips, fresh makeup, not overdone. Slight curl to your hair, but the frizz is in total control. You're put together enough that I'd say you're overly organized and maybe a slight ball buster. Red wine drinkers are artistic, messy, and free. You look too confined in your life to enjoy the full body of a red.
Yeah, so it's a little bit like it's a tiny bit insulting.
I know, it's like he's totally making fun of her.
Yeah, he definitely is, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how's she gonna respond to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he wants to kind of bait her a little bit and like tease her and play with her a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, like he's kind of making fun of her and teasing her and kind of poking the bear a little bit.
Yes.
Because he wants a rise out of her. He wants to see how she reacts and he wants to get her, you know, emotionally worked up so that she'll stick around and talk to him.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think you can lean a little more into that. Like he's playing with her, you know.
Okay.
He's not just a jerk, you know. He
Right,
he
right.
genuinely is like I want you to stick around and talk to me, you know.
Okay, okay. All right. So pink full lips, fresh makeup, not overdone. Slight curl to your hair, but the frizz is in total control. You're put together enough that I'd say you're overly organized and maybe a slight ball buster. Red wine drinkers are artistic, messy, and free. You look too confined in your life to enjoy the full body of a red.
Yeah, he's like, you're too perfect. You're too
Yeah,
straight-laced. Yeah. And like, what if you spilled it, heaven forbid, on that perfectly tailored dress you're wearing, you know?
right? Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I feel like you could have, he probably also is like there might be moments where he could be a little seductive, moments where he could be a little bit more insulting to try to
Mhm.
piss her off, moments where he's a little more teasing and playful.
Right,
Like trying to show off some of those different vocal tones just because we want to show them the nuance and the depth of what we can bring to the character.
yay. Okay. Um, so pink full lips, fresh makeup, not overdone. Slight curl to your hair, but the frizz is in total control. You're put together enough that I'd say you're overly organized and maybe a slight ball buster. Red wine drinkers are artistic, messy, and free. You look too confined in your life to enjoy the full body of a red.
Yeah, yeah. You feel how it changes throughout,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I
Um,
like that better.
and so whenever I have an audition, I'm always thinking like, how can I showcase, a bunch of different things? Like, here's me happy, here's me sad, here's me scared, here's me angry. Like, I want to show them a good variety.
Okay,
So it's not like, oh, I'm just this like two-dimensional person, that I have more depth. Um,
right,
yeah. So yeah, I think that it's a lot more compelling too because he like it keeps you on the edge of your seat. Like you're a little more like, I
right.
don't know what he's gonna do next. I don't know what he's gonna say next. Like that's what makes it so interesting, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think also it just kind of showcases like even more his comfort in his own skin and confidence. And he's like, I don't know that you are so confident. Like, why do you
right.
have to be so perfect, you know? Yeah,
Oh, perfection.
yeah, exactly. He's kind of teasing her. He's like, you can't let your hair down, you know?
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So yeah, he's like, I don't know if someone like you can fully appreciate a red, you know?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And she's like, excuse you, my family owns 5 different vineyards.
I know, right?
And
Yeah,
he's like, that doesn't mean you enjoy it.
right. Doesn't mean you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, it shows a little more of his character. and that he's like really trying to hook her, you know.
Yeah.
What is it called? Negging or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a word you don't hear very often.
Yeah. That thing I guess guys do sometimes. Personally, I'm like, you're being mean, go away.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I'm like, say hello like a normal, nice person.
Yeah. Can you stop pulling my pigtails? That'd be great.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not the girl who thinks that if a boy pushes you, on the schoolyard, that means he likes you. I'm like, that just means he's a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Clearly he was not taught not to hit girls.
right?
So.
Ugh, these boys,
I was also the girl who was like, you hit me, I will hit you back harder. So,
right?
yeah, that got me in trouble sometimes at school.
I was gonna say, you're lucky you grew up in a time where you could hit back
Yeah, yeah.
for the most part.
Or, just use your words to squash them like a
Yes.
bug.
Yes. So fun.
Yeah, yeah. Be like, dude, you're a jerk. You just pushed my friend. Now I'm gonna be mean to you and make you cry so you leave her alone.
Yep.
Yeah, not my finest moments, I would say, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was effective. It made people leave my friends alone.
Well,
Yeah,
that's all that
so
matters.
you know. Yeah, I would get in trouble for standing up to the bullies was the issue.
Oh, how dare you? Dare you?
Yeah, yeah. My little brother, he was like, I can't do that. I'll get suspended or whatever. And I was like, strong sense of justice. Bullies must go down.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'd be like, why do you let them act like that or treat you like that? And he'd be like, if I do anything, I'll get in trouble. And I was like,
Mhm.
and?
Yeah. Well, now I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. So she is clearly a lady who is going to, though, clearly her life is too boring and she doesn't have enough
Right.
fun, interesting, you know,
Banter.
yes,
Yes.
banter in her life. So she is going to be like,
Hmm,
you're cute and you're interesting. And now I'm curious about you. And also, I have to defend
exactly.
myself because you don't know anything about me because
Right.
she's young and hasn't learned yet to just walk away. Um,
Yeah.
but it's all good. Maybe it'll end up being great in the end. Maybe they'll grow together.
Yes.
So so yes. Um, so what I would love to do now that we've kind of fleshed out like who the characters are is play a little more into how they're going to respond off of each other. So not just like, this is who this character is and the standalone lines, but
Mhm.
playing a little more with that banter with a responsiveness with the
Okay.
characters. Um,
Okay.
and I want you to really lean into with the narrator, having the narrator help us to, um, having the narrator help us to know how we should feel about it. Like, should we be indignant? Should we be amused? Should we be offended? Um, should we be like, oh, you're cute, like should we be just like brushing them off in that moment? So with the narration of this story,
Hmm.
let your narrator voice have a strong point of view as well. That kind of
Okay.
helps us with that journey.
Okay. All right. Let's see. The young bartender grinned at me like a cat. White wine spritzer? God, no. I muttered, still searching. I had red, please. Really? He brought a bottle over. You look like more of a white wine girl to me than a red. That caught my attention, and I turned back to him. Do I? What makes you think that? A hint of a smirk played on my lips. His eyes roamed my face in a way that I could almost feel, as if they were his hands lightly brushing each spot he gazed at. He licked his lips and his smirk turned wicked. Pink, full lips, fresh makeup, not overdone. Slight curl to your hair, but the frizz is in total control. You're put together enough that I'd say you're overly organized and maybe a slight ball buster. Red wine drinkers are artistic, messy, and free. You look too confined in your life to enjoy the full body of a red. I met his blue eyes with a hard look. Do you always sweet talk the ladies this way? He leaned across the bar, speaking softly. I have a sneaky suspicion that you may not qualify for that classification. My lips lifted into a much wider grin. I like honesty in a stranger.
Nice. Yeah. So, what's really interesting is that like realization that she's like, oh, like people are not usually honest with her. And
Right.
she likes it. She's like, huh.
Yes.
And maybe because he is a stranger, he can be honest with her.
Right.
She's like, I might
Yeah.
never see you again, so tell me more, you know?
Right. What does it hurt if I flirt with you now? Because I'm getting married next week, so meh.
Right, exactly. And it seems like it's a novelty to have someone be this transparent with you. That you're
Yes.
used to things staying kind of superficial and um, and very surface niceties kind of a thing.
Right.
And so you're like, huh, this is
Interesting.
this is interesting and new and strange experience that I am very curious about and want to learn more.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so she, it's I think the novelty of it is pretty spectacular, but like you're saying, she also feels safe enough
Right.
to dive in and be like, okay, I'll take the bait,
Yeah.
like what's it gonna hurt?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, I'm never gonna see you again. I'm getting married to the perfect person next week. And so you're like, okay, I'll play along because
Yeah.
it's a fun game. Um, so yes, and so I think that came across really nicely.
Oh, good.
Yeah, good. What were some of your favorite things about that take?
Um, I liked the banter. I liked
Yeah.
that. Well, and I also liked that I could give the description of what was going on in her head.
Yeah.
Because I feel, like when you're just reading the spoken part, it's like,
Right.
so disjointed. Um, so that was
Mhm.
nice too.
Right. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So then, yeah, so the back and forth was one of the things that we were focusing on there, and I definitely heard
Right.
that more. And then I also felt like the narration, you kind of allowed the reactions of the characters to play a part. So it was like the narration really flowed out of what the banter was, and then also furthered it, furthered the
Okay.
emotion and the context, which was great. Um, if you had one thing that you thought, I feel like I could lean into this more. I feel like I could change this up or I could, improve this. What would that number one thing be?
Um, I think that maybe I could lean into a little bit more it's like there's three stages of her realizing what's happening. Like the
Hmm.
first one, she's just responding because that's it. And then she gets curious and then she gets
Yeah,
mad. And
right.
then she's like, oh, I do like this.
Right. So thinking about telling that story and the shape of that story. So like
Yeah.
that idea of there has to be a strong beginning, middle, and end, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like here's where we start, here's where we end. Those have to make a good impact. Launch it strong, end with a nice strong button that keeps us compelled and wanting more. but then also we have this journey of how we get from point A to point B. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I like that you're seeing that kind of full shape now, and it's
Hmm.
not just like a straightforward, straight track. It's like a windy road that has some hills and valleys, and it takes
Okay,
us
yeah.
on this journey, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe leaning a little bit more into take us on that full journey. And again,
Okay.
in the full context of the book, you might be like, I probably wouldn't do that much of that.
Right.
But in an audition setting, we want to showcase the variation in that short, like basically it's like this is all I have. So I try to make it like this is the full story. If this is all
Mhm.
they get, I want it to be really compelling and engaging the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So I make it like it's the full story,
Okay.
basically. Okay,
All right. I'm gonna turn a light on real quick though. So
no
just
problem.
shade your eyes. Okay. I got really bright. Sorry.
Yeah, I
Um,
know, like as the sun's changing and light comes through the windows
I
differently.
know. I'm like,
You can be like, wait, did it just suddenly get much darker in here?
yeah.
Or clouds come along and you're like, whoa,
Oh, fun. Yes.
I can't see
Um,
anymore.
I know. I was so excited. I was like, it's still gonna be sunny. And then I was like, oh no, but not probably
Oh.
now. Okay. The young bartender grinned at me like a cat. White wine spritzer? God, no. I mumbled, still searching. I had red, please. Really? He brought a bottle over. You look like more of a white wine girl to me than a red. That caught my attention, and I turned back to him. Do I? What makes you think that? A hint of a smirk played on my lips. His eyes roamed my face in a way that I could almost feel, as if they were his hands lightly brushing each spot he gazed at. He licked his lips, and his smirk turned wicked. Pink, full lips, fresh makeup, not overdone. Slight curl to your hair, but the frizz is in total control. You're put together enough that I'd say you're overly organized and maybe a slight ball buster. Red wine drinkers are artistic, messy, and free. You look too confined to your life to enjoy the full body of a red. I met his blue eyes with a hard look. Do you always sweet talk the ladies this way? He leaned across the bar, speaking softly. I have a sneaky suspicion that you may not qualify for that classification. My lips lifted into a much wider grin. I like honesty in a stranger.
Nice. Yeah. One thing that I kind of like too is that there's a little bit of like, is she kind of like irritated by this?
Yeah,
But then then she has that wide grin and it's like, I like this.
yeah,
So that's a really fun being like, uh-oh, is she gonna be upset by this? And then and we're a little like unsure, but then she makes that discovery,
yeah,
and it's a really cute kind of experience to take with the character.
yeah.
That little journey with her. Um,
Sorry, cat got in here.
oh, it's okay. Um, I also felt like um he like the cat likeness of him, like that I felt like came across a little bit more.
Okay,
And then like another thing, I felt like he was a little more like hmm, what's a good word? um like very, very like earthy, like almost like a purring in his chest, like
Okay.
seductive-y, like especially when he's like talking about like, red wine drinkers. They're artistic and they're this and that. And he's like, you don't look like that, like
Yeah.
um it was very seductive
Okay,
in that
good.
spot. I felt like which just felt like a little bit of a different approach. Like it just landed a little differently this time, which was very interesting. It
Okay.
was it was fun. So yeah, like that. Uh, it's funny because he's like insulting her with his words, but then
Right.
he also is like, it was very, very seductive, which was really fun. So, so yeah, that just landed a little bit differently for me this time. What were some of the things you liked most about it?
I liked a little bit more of the I like that I felt like she came out a little bit clearer.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely thought she did.
yeah. So I did like that. Um, I liked a little bit more playing with how like his words, like
Yeah.
putting some like different intensity on different words to just kind of see how that comes across.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt like she sparkled a little bit more,
Yeah.
like as a character this
Yeah.
time. Like I feel like I really like leaning more into her having fun. Um, because I feel like, you know, if we play her the wrong way, she could be easily unlikable,
Yeah.
but she's our main character. We want to like her and we want her
Right.
to have, this happy love story.
Yeah.
If I like I've had books that I've read that other people loved um like one in particular, I tried to listen to the audiobook of it and I thought, wow, I like hate the main characters with the way this narrator is approaching them. So I tried reading the book different, like myself, and I liked the book much better
Oh, good.
because I decided to make the characters a little bit different.
Yeah.
But like the way it was being narrated, I was like, I just hate this main character so much.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And so like, I feel like she could easily be turned into someone that we might not like, but
Yeah.
I really like her having that like sense of play and youthfulness and curiosity, like playing up some of these more likable traits, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt like she sparkled a lot more. And
Yay.
even though he does have more dialogue, I feel like, quantity wise, she
Right.
still had presence, like equal presence this time, which
Okay.
was really nice. Um, and I think also, like this time, I felt like the characters were more focused on each other, if
Okay.
that makes sense. So like, leaning more into that, like keeping the characters really focused on the other person, um,
Okay.
I think is working really nicely. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do it one more
Awesome.
time?
Yeah. Okay. The young bartender grinned at me like a cat. White wine spritzer. God, God, no. I muttered, still searching. I had red, please. Really? He brought over a bottle. You look like more of a white wine girl to me than a red. That caught my attention, and I turned back to him. Do I? What makes you think that? A hint of a smirk played on my lips. His eyes roamed my face in a way that I could almost feel, as if they were his hands lightly brushing each spot he gazed at. He licked his lips, and his smirk turned wicked. Pink, full lips, fresh, makeup not overdone. Slight curl to your hair, but the frizz is in total control. You're put together enough that I'd say you're overly organized and maybe a slight ball buster. Red wine drinkers are artistic, messy, and free. You look too confined in your life to enjoy a full body of a red. I met his blue eyes with a hard look. Do you always sweet talk the ladies this way? This way? He leaned across the bar, speaking softly. I have a sneaky suspicion that you may not qualify for that classification. My lips lifted into a much wider grin. I like honesty in a stranger.
Awesome. All right. Good. So, I definitely felt like you leaned more into some of those things that we were liking,
Yeah.
and took those further. What were some of your favorite things?
I like the idea that you said of making them feel like they're just only like talking to each other and have drowned out the rest of that. So I kind of tried to push it into that. Um, but also like somewhere she's looking for something else. So I kind of what I was trying to get across is that in the beginning she's not really like she's like, "Oh yeah, whatever." And then he says something that makes her more interested, and that's kind of what pushes her into this conversation. But I also think that the idea of like describing how his eyes were like how
Yeah.
he's looking at her. Like I feel like that's probably like an important part of the book.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So picking up on those things that you go, this seems like it'll be important and might come back later on.
Yes.
I think those observations are really great. There's hopefully, possibly a reason they picked this particular excerpt, and so it'll just show like, that you have good insights and instincts as a narrator, and help them to see you
Yeah.
in that role. Awesome.
Yay.
Great. So, what would you say is your number one key takeaway or like thing that you learned or that you feel like you want to hold on to or like tuck into your tool belt for the future from working through this script?
Um, I think that kind of trying to figure out their voice is something that we've worked on before, but just remembering to ask myself the questions about like, how do they feel about this? What would you think? And stuff like that. But I think honestly, like the character interaction that you can only hear but you don't see is kind of an
Mhm.
important thing to think about. And I probably wouldn't have really thought about it as much if you hadn't said something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Cool. So then what would you say is maybe the number one thing that you feel like you improved on um, while you were working through this script?
I think I got the flow better. I think I pulled the characters out of obviously where they started. And I think I got a good idea of where, like, if I was going to narrate this, where I would want the characters to go from there.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Um, then what would you say is maybe one thing that if you continued to do a little bit more practice on it, what's one thing that you feel like you would want to try to improve?
Um, I think that maybe I would want to make sure that I was being very consistent with the male voice because I feel like I can get lost a little bit sometimes trying to keep that completely different tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So then, What would you say over the next few weeks are going to be your goals? So obviously you've put in some really quality work here on this one. So I would love for you to go ahead and record that and submit it. I
Mhm.
think it's in a really good place and it's really
Awesome.
cute and fun. Um, it's got some flirtation and some sassiness and I feel like it's fitting the genre really well. Um,
Yeah.
so definitely submit this one. What are some
Okay.
other things that you want to try to do over the next few weeks?
So I might try to find another script that is maybe a little bit different than this, kind of keep with the same sort of overall theme, but maybe not as like, you know, meet cute sort of. And then try to work on that and get that recorded. And then I really want to try and get this one big project out of like just to see if I can do it, like if it's going to work out. And then, my best friend ChatGPT has helped me a lot. It's like, oh, here, do this, and then do that, and then talk to this. I'm like, what do I tell people? Because I actually
Oh,
went on Fiverr and had somebody just make music for me so that I didn't have to
oh,
keep, looking. And I was like, is it bad to have like the same song every time? And, it's like, no, you can, switch up how you listen to it and whatever. So,
right.
uh,
Yeah.
I was like, that takes out so much of the stress of
Yeah.
trying to get things taken care of.
Well, you also could have, them make like short 30-second snippets that have a different energy or something too. And then you can
Yeah.
use those. And what's great is then you own them. So you don't, because it's like a commissioned thing that you paid them to create for you. And then you don't have the issue of like YouTube being like, hey,
Yeah.
you're flagged as like having something copyrighted or whatever.
Right. We took your video down.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be my kind of creative outlet for this
Yeah.
upcoming few weeks.
Nice. Awesome. This was
Yeah.
some beautiful work. I thought this was really fun.
Thank you. It was
So
fun.
yeah, and really good progress throughout. I loved all your creative ideas. And as were experimenting and trying different things, that was really fun to hear, the
Yeah.
nuance of
Yeah.
everything coming across. So I really enjoyed hearing all the changes you were making and the creativity that you engaged here and just
Awesome.
kind of incorporating different ideas and I think especially for something like this like a rom-com is supposed to be fun so
Yeah.
just having that like spirit of fun and play something I told one of my other students recently was if you're having fun your audience is going to have fun too
Yes.
so I think that's really going to shine through and come across really beautifully.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So lean into that, like really having fun with it.
Okay.
Um, like I mentioned, the notebook characters and their contrast. Like, honestly, there are moments where I really don't like her, the
Yeah.
main character. I'm like, oh my goodness, this
She's
girl.
such a brat. Yeah.
Yeah, like the older couple, I think is one of the most romantic, beautiful things. Like, they're
Hmm.
so, so precious. Like the beginning of the movie Up. The
Yeah.
elderly couple, like their love story. I'm like, it's just so beautiful. So, like the older
Yeah.
couple in the Notebook, I'm like, they're
Oh, I
so
know.
precious.
I ugly
But then
cried at
like
that.
when they're younger, I'm like, man, Noah, like she's a brat. Like you got some patience. I'm like, it's just, she wears red all the time. I think that's it,
Yes.
It
That's
tricks
very
him.
iconic. That is
Yeah.
somebody who thinks very well of themselves.
He just is like, she's wearing a red dress. She has to be the most beautiful girl in town. But yeah, so, but I feel like, in spite of that, she has very lovable moments too, and like moments where you can really relate to her. Um, and so I think, we always want to have every character is going to have like qualities that make them really great, and then qualities that
Mhm.
make them really human and imperfect, you know?
Right.
But in spite of those imperfections, we always want to make them charming still. We always want to
Okay.
find a way to
Yeah.
help the audience to love them, and to be like, oh, I really enjoy this character. It's like even I always say, even when you play a villainous character, you always
Yeah.
want to find a way to make your audience like be on your side, like so you think of like Heath Ledger as the Joker or something, like
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you can't help but be like, I still love him,
I know.
or like villains that you're like, why am I cheering for them? Or like
Right.
vigilantes that you're like, in reality, I am not for this, but somehow
Yeah.
in watching this movie, I am so on their side,
I
and
need
you
you to
you see
kill
them
all
as
the people.
exactly, you see them as human, you're on board with it, you're like, law-abiding citizen, you're like Gerard Butler, you go get
Yeah.
your vengeance, and you're like, in reality, I am not
Yeah.
someone who condones like crimes and things,
No.
but in the context, like the actor plays it so well that you're like, I am right there with you. I
Yeah.
understand you. I am on your side. So I think, really leaning into like, even though he is being a little bit of a butt to her,
Yeah.
and even though she is a little bit entitled and proud, I feel like they still have really good qualities,
Yeah.
and you can make it really fun,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
so it's like, and I also think it's fun to have like maybe the beginning they have some friction, but then by the end they're like right there in sync and step, and
Yeah.
like, yeah, so it like feels like I don't know where this is going, and then by the end it's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like, I see it now.
Yeah.
And it just kind of clicks. So yeah, so just really having fun with it. Really appreciating the good qualities of the characters, being compassionate to them when they have flaws, because
Yeah.
let's be real, we love that they're human,
Yeah.
that they're
Absolutely.
imperfect. We don't want her to be perfect, right?
It's
We
okay if
like
we do
seeing
it
that she's
in,
human.
yeah.
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 Absolutely.
When he's like, "You're too perfect," and
Yeah.
and
I'm
then
like,
we see
oh.
that she's not. And that's great. She's like, "Oh, you're just like us."
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah. So yeah, I think you're doing beautiful work with it. I think if you record it, basically just like you just did, they're gonna love
Okay.
it. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
because I thoroughly enjoyed it. So
Yay.
hopefully, they get to it. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes I'm like, did you listen to like 50 of the recordings and I was like the 100th and you never got to
Yeah. You're
me?
like, oh, great.
So try to get it in quick if you can.
Okay.
Try to get it in tonight, instead of like tomorrow or the next day, so that
Okay.
you're like one of the first people who gets it in there and they'll hear you
Awesome.
first, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah. And good luck. I'll send
Thank
all the
you.
good vibes your way because
Thank
I think
you.
you'd be great at this book.
Aw, thanks. I appreciate that.
It also has pretty good ratings, and quite a few people have rated it. So that's a
Yeah, which is
positive.
nice.
You've
Absolutely.
got already a pretty good fan base. So,
Yes. Absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, awesome work today. Keep up the
Thank
fantastic
you.
work. I think, it's doing it, making the time and make,
Yeah.
and I think the more fun you can make it for yourself, the more you will prioritize it. So
Yeah.
try to keep that spirit of fun with it. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Awesome. Well, great work
All
today. Keep
right.
up the good
Thanks,
work,
Sandy.
and I look forward to seeing you next time. Did you
Okay.
want to schedule out, um or did you want to like see what your schedule's going to be?
Um, let's see.
It
I
would
can
be
look right
April.
now if you
Sure,
want.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. So today is the 10th. The 10th of April is a Friday. I don't know if you like Fridays.
Yeah, I can
Mondays,
do a
I think
Friday.
yeah.
That'd be fine. Mondays
Yeah,
and
like if
Fridays
you,
are
I know
usually
we've
fine.
done a lot of Mondays in the past, but yeah, like if you would rather do, oh, that's my dog Daisy's birthday. I
Oh,
just
are you going to be
realized.
having a party?
No, but it is her birthday, which is
Yay.
fun. She's my sweet girl. She's about
Aw,
8 years old.
that's
So
sweet. Yes.
She's a teeny tiny little Maltese mix, so
Okay.
she's a little sassy.
I believe it.
She acts a little bit like a cat in a dog
Yeah.
box. Yeah. But she's smaller than most cats. She's only
Yes.
like
Yeah.
6.5 pounds. So
Oh my gosh, that is very
yeah,
tiny.
she was the runt of her litter. So
That's funny.
yeah. Let's see. So what time frame would work the best for you if we did April 10th?
I am usually available between like 9 and I need to leave the house by 2.
Okay.
So in that time
Yeah.
frame, or if later in the day
Sure.
works, like I'm home by
Yeah.
3.
Okay, cool. So I have something in the morning. Could we do like
Yeah,
noonish? Would that
yeah,
work?
that'd
And
be
then you still
fine.
have a little buffer before you have to leave.
Yes.
Might be nice. So
That would
yeah,
be
so if we
perfect.
do noon, you still have a little bit of time before you leave so you don't feel crunched.
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank
Great.
you.
April 10th at noon. All right.
Got
I'll
it.
plan to see you then.
All right, sounds good. Have
Beautiful
a good
work
night.
today.
Thank you. I appreciate
All
it.
right. I will see you then. I'm sure the time will fly by.
It will.
Bye,
Bye.
Christy. Have a good night.